Three, two.
Hello everyone and welcome to our documentary show. Today I have two very interesting guests with us and they're going to talk to you about their project, which is based on the topic nature. So first, a little bit about me. I'm a second year university student and I'm studying my second year in screen and media. And we'll start off with you. So introduce yourself and what are you studying and a little overview of your project.
Hi, I'm Jesse. I am a Bachelor of Screen Media student, and my student project that I am doing today is going to be, well, not today, but is all about a friend of mine who's had to deal with the bushfires, and he takes care of animals, and how he dealt with that, and with their safety, and safety of his own life as well.
Thank you for that. That's very interesting. We'll get back and elaborate more on that in a second, but our second guest here, will you introduce yourself and a brief overview of your project?
Hi, my name is Jaden. I'm also a second year doing a Bachelor of Screen Media, and for my project that I'm doing with my group, we are doing a little bit on the water pollutions and around the Sydney rivers and everything like that. And hopefully we're gonna talk a lot more on the details of that and how in history it's affected people living around, and how some of the water pollutions have affected the living conditions of people that have resided around in the Sydney waters.
Thank you for that. So one thing that you both brought up, which is very interesting, like nature surrounds all of us and these topics also affect us as well. So starting with you, Jesse. So elaborate more about your project. So do you know whereabouts you're filming your project, and also about your friend, a bit more details about that. So the environment, or what exactly are you focusing on?
Okay, so the location of this project, or my friend's property, is probably west of the Blue Mountains, so way out in the bush area. Where animals thrive, and also, unfortunately, bushfires thrive. So that's where the whole setting of it is going to be. And
So relating to the bushfires, so was your friend impacted by those?
yes, he was. The bushfires came right up to his property and actually did do some damage, but didn't burn down his house or anything. But he got off relatively quite well.
Oh, that must have been a very scary experience for him. So you're going to focus on the bushfire aspect, or are you going to look at his life on the farm and kind of like animal?
I'm going to try and do a bit of both. Start with an introduction and all the animals he takes care of and what he does, and then move on to the bushfire and how he handled that, and maybe some other things about like how people nearby handled that as well, because it wasn't even just him.
No.
It was so many people.
Yeah, that's true, and that impacted a lot of people's lives as well, like the farm, the stock as well. So thank you very much. That's very interesting, and I'm really looking forward to hearing about that. That sounds really interesting. What about you, Jaden? So what about your project?
With our project, we're going to be looking to discuss a little bit more detail about, again, how the water pollutions can be a very, very disastrous thing if not taken care of more frequently around, and how we're going to be using a lot more of the research from before in the past and discussing and narrating how each of those events had affected everyone around, and how that had also affected the wildlife that resided in the waters and everything, and all of that, and all of these specifics that came down that many people may not even realize when it came to those events happening.
It's very interesting. You mentioned research and looking back at the past. So recently we've had a lot of floodings. And is that kind of like comparing back to the past, but it's like we're kind of repeating history, isn't it? Like your documentary is going to show, is that what you're going to show in your documentary? Like how things are now compared, like how they were in the past and how things are going now?
Yeah, we're going to be discussing all those differences and discussing how everything was affected, and as well as like how maybe even during how the drought that came beforehand, and then how afterwards it affected the flooding and then afterwards how the flooding affected afterwards, and how dams were starting to becoming over flooded, and how that would create even more like different what's called different scenarios.
That's very interesting. Thank you both so much for coming onto the show today. Very pleasure to have you. And I'm looking forward to seeing your final edited documentaries. And thank you everyone for having us today.